Welcome everybody to another one of my videos. Today we'll be watching Alexander the Great Part 3. Welcome to Miko's bedroom. Uh, Now today what we're going to be watching is, as I stated, Alexander the Great Part 3. I've already watched Part 1 and Part 2. What did we learn? Alexander's a badass. For him, numbers, they don't exist. I have 40,000, you have 200,000, I'm going to win anyway. You guys so confident. Get saved. He has, at least the way it's portrayed, listen, it happened 2,000 years ago. Is maybe some of it embellished? Maybe. Does it make a better story? Yes, it does. So, I'm gonna take it as face value, everything that's been said. Because it's just cooler, man. It's cooler than, he was about to get stabbed in the back, but his friend or his comrade, whatever you want to call it comes out of nowhere, cuts the hand of the guy who was gonna kill him. You know. Anywho, what did we learn last episode? Um, Alexander is gonna take your wife and your kids. He fought against the king. The king lost. He took his wife and his kids. I mean, the guy's a badass. Don't mess with Alexander. He creates his own city. He has Alexandria, dude. Don't mess with the guy, man. Um, Now a little bit of an update. After I'm done with this series, we have one more episode to do. I'm gonna do series. I've watched a lot of the series on Epic History TV. It's a very good channel. I recommend everybody to go subscribe and see it. It's an amazing channel. But I'm gonna do reactions to everything. What I saw, there was a two-part series on the Suez crisis that happened in the 50s and 60s, because Suez was, owned by the British, not anymore. I want to understand what happened. I know about the crisis. I've heard about it. I've watched, TV shows where it was developed, if you want to call it that. But I've never really, gone over it to the extent that I would have liked. I don't have that much knowledge. Anyways, we're getting off track. Let's watch this episode. I'm sorry, I'm getting on a tangent here. Osprey Publishing.
In 334 BC,
The guy took everything in like 3 years, by the way.
Alexander, 21-year-old ruler.
He was 21. Like, can we all say that, like, people in history, they didn't waste time like us. You know, Napoleon, the guy's 34. People when they're 34 nowadays, they're like, getting into the groove of things, have more money, hopefully they have, a more stable life. No, the guy's a fucking emperor of Europe, dude. And we are here, stable. Yeah, I have a car, yay. The guy 34, fucking emperor. What?
Ruler of the small Greek kingdom of Macedonia, led an invasion of the vast Persian Empire. It seemed impossible odds. But thanks to Greek military dominance and Alexander's fearless leadership, he won two great battles against the Persians, at the river Granicus and at Issus. Having subdued Persian lands west of the Euphrates River, he now headed east into the empire's heartlands, seeking a final showdown with the Persian king, Darius III.
Final showdown.
Receiving news that a great Persian army led by Darius had
How much? The last army was what? 80,000, 100,000 this time? Let's say 250,000. That's my guess.
assembled at Gaugamela, near modern Mosul in Iraq. He made straight for it.
How much?
This was Darius's last chance to stop Alexander,
Yeah.
and Alexander's chance to smash Persian power once and for all.
The Battle of Gagamel.
Darius
Gagamel.
had chosen to fight on open ground, where his advantage in numbers would be more telling.
How much?
His soldiers had also worked hard to clear and flatten the terrain to make it suitable for Persian war chariots. By modern estimates, the Persian army was between 50 and 80,000 strong.
First of all, it's way off. Second of all, that's it? That's your final stand? The last stand, in the last battle you had like 100,000, now you have between 50 and 80? It's your final stand, man. You take everything possible. That's the most you had.
And made up of contingents from across the empire. Infantry from Syria
Elephants!
and Babylonia. Cavalry from Armenia, India and Central Asia. Up to 200 scythed chariots.
Oh my god. If people don't know what a scythed chariot is, go watch Gladiator. Go watch Gladiator.
Even a handful of war elephants.
Dude.
Alexander's army was smaller and may have been outnumbered by as much as 2 to 1.
Dude, outnumbered? Do you know who you're talking to? This is Alexander. Outnumbered, my ass. Dude, the guy...
He deployed his units in their usual formation. On the left flank,
I mean, if it
Thracian
works.
and Thessalian cavalry, commanded by Parmenion.
Parmenion, the guy saved his life, I think. Is he the one
In the
that stopped the
centre,
sword?
the Macedonian veterans of the phalanx, each armed with their 18-foot sarissa pike. On the right flank, Alexander with his elite cavalry, the companions, and his best infantry, the hypaspists. These were the units with which Alexander planned to launch his main attack. Greek hoplites formed a second line and supported both wings, which were angled back to guard against encirclement by the Persians. The battle began when Alexander led his wing out to the right, a move that took the Persians by surprise. Could Alexander really be trying to encircle their huge army? The Persians mirrored his movement, taking troops away from their center to outflank Alexander and prevent him leaving the area they'd cleared for the Persian chariots. But Alexander's unusual maneuver was a trap to entice the Persians to weaken their center. When he saw that it had worked,
is he gonna blitzkrieg that shit?
He ordered his Greek cavalry to charge, to keep the Persians fixed in position. A giant cavalry battle developed on the right wing. Darius, meanwhile, judging this to be the decisive moment, unleashed his chariots. But expert Agrianes javelin throwers took out horses and crews.
Choo! Of course.
While the Greek infantry opened lanes, allowing the chariots to pass harmlessly through.
Ah! Psyched?
Now Alexander led his companion cavalry and parts of the Macedonian phalanx in a headlong charge straight at the weakened Persian center, fighting his way towards Darius himself. The sudden ferocity of Alexander's assault threw the Persians into panic. The center of the army broke and ran, King Darius himself leading the rout. But Alexander's left wing was in serious trouble. Parmenion, facing a huge onslaught by Persian cavalry, was virtually surrounded.
Don't tell me he died.
Indian and Scythian horsemen had even ridden through a gap in the Greek line.
Ugh.
But rather than wheeling and attacking the Greeks from behind, they'd carried straight on to loot their camp.
Ah! Pussies! Greedy bitches. Fuck 'em, fuck 'em.
Parmenion sent a desperate appeal to Alexander for
Come on! Help the guy, man!
The king abandoned his pursuit of Darius, regrouped, and charged the Persians.
He didn't say go fuck yourself. He wasn't like, you know what, I'm about to win the battle. Okay, I'm fighting the king. No, he's like, you know, my friend, you know, he's about to die. He moves.
Persian right wing.
Make the move!
It was the hardest and bloodiest fighting of the battle,
Choo!
claiming the lives of 60 of Alexander's companions.
That's nothing, but whatever.
Finally, as news of Darius's flight spread
Huh.
across the battlefield,
Everybody's like,
the last Persian horseman turned and fled.
Of course, the king flees for like.
The Battle of Gaugamela was a stunning and complete victory for Alexander. According to ancient sources, he lost just a few hundred men, while the Persians lost thousands.
My man proves himself yet again.
Alexander had routed Darius's great army. And now the road to Babylon, the empire's main capital.
Babylon, here we come.
The Macedonian king entered the great city in triumph, recognized by Persian officials as its new rightful ruler. So too at the city of Susa, where Alexander ceremonially took his seat upon the royal throne of Persia. In the Zagros Mountains, at a pass known as the Persian Gates, a courageous Persian force held up Alexander's army for a month.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
The Greeks eventually found a mountain path that bypassed their position,
Of course, the same with the Spartans.
allowing them to encircle and wipe out the defenders.
I mean, you know, mountain passes, man, you can hold them forever because, you know, you can just go through one path. You have to go forward. They have pikes. You have, you know, shields. You know what I mean. It's very useful, especially the narrow it is. It doesn't matter if you have 1,000,000 men. 1,000 people can hold a lot of people in a very narrow point.
In early 330 BC, Alexander reached Persepolis, the empire's ceremonial capital.
The guy's 26.
Alexander wanted to appear as a liberator to the Persians, as a legitimate successor to King Darius.
He didn't succeed, I guess.
But now he ordered Persepolis to be pillaged and burnt.
What?
Retribution for the Persian invasion of Greece and the burning of Athens' sacred temples in 480 BC.
Dude, you can't do that. It was 150 years ago. I mean, I get it, but it's very short-sighted.
Alexander now headed north into Media, where Darius had taken refuge in the royal city of Ecbatana. Alexander was determined to capture Darius, but the fugitive king fled east, in the hope of raising a new army in the provinces of Parthia, Bactria, and Sogdia.
Dude, the Persian Empire was so big. Like, what the fuck? Like, Alexander took half of it, even more so. I mean, he went all the way to Persepolis, and like Susa, Babylon. He took the capital, and there's still like another half to go.
It was not to
But
be.
look at this. You know, Pakistan. You know, even entering India all the way. You know, Afghanistan, Turkmenistan. Everything's just.
As Alexander closed in, the Persian king was murdered by one of his own governors, Bessus, who then proclaimed himself the empire's new ruler.
Okay, that's stupid. I thought he was gonna do the, you know, I killed my king for you type of deal. Like, you know, someone turns, he sees the tides where they're going. He's like, I'm gonna kill the king, and then I'm gonna present his head to Alexander in terms of, you know, I'm with you guys. Don't worry. I was always fighting for you. Like, you know, you can do that. You saved your life. The guy kills the king. He's like, you know, I'm the new king. Like, haven't you heard the news? The guy's coming, invincible. Doesn't care if you have 2-to-1 armies. The guy...
Alexander gave orders for Darius to be buried in the royal tombs of Persepolis, alongside his ancestors.
Thoughtful. Hey.
Then he paused to organize his vast new empire.
Yeah, I mean...
Alexander appointed viceroys to rule the provinces on his behalf, keeping several Persians who had sworn loyalty in their posts. Then he resumed his march east, his goal to find and kill the usurper Bessus, subjugate the empire's eastern provinces, and reach the far edge of the world.
I mean, look at this. I mean, the guy started in Macedon. He went through Anatolia, Turkey, Constantinople. Oh no, I'm using modern uh, words. I know at the time that wasn't what they were called, but go with me here. Anatolia into Syria, Egypt. The guy goes back into Syria. Well, at least goes into Syria, I should say, and then goes into Iraq and then into Iran, and then now he's in the middle. And look how big the Persian Empire was. How much land there were. I mean, they went from basically Pakistan all the way to Istanbul and all the way to Egypt. I mean,
Research and artwork.
dude, this channel is amazing. Epic History TV. Go watch them, man. Go watch them. It's so epic. Now, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did. This was so epic. I mean, the guy, and then the king gets killed, assassinated, like a little bitch. Then this new guy, he's like, I'm the new king. The guy's gonna get killed. Um, oh my god, this was so good. This was really good because it demonstrates how incredible, how big everything is. He went from, I mean, and not only that, but he had to travel all that distance on land, by horse. I mean, and then the guy's like in his 20s, you know? The guy created a legend in the span of a few years that lasts 2,000 years. In 2021, we still talk about the guy. It was 2,400 years ago, give or take. And we still talk about him. And the guy did it in like 10, 15 years. And then died in his prime. Imagine if he survived. Or maybe, what could be interesting is because he died, his legend sort of become what it became. Maybe if he lived like until he was 80, and then he had sons, and then they, continued the empire. Maybe his, the founders, who's the founder of the Medici family? We all know who's Cosimo de Medici, Leo the Tenth. We don't know who's the founder, but most people don't know who's the founder. Who's the founder of anything? But then again, you can make the argument that the founder of the Roman Empire, Augustus, is still remembered to this day. But then it's a whole thing. Anyways, thank you for listening. I hope you learned as much as I did. It was incredible. I'm gonna do part four, and then I'm going to the Suez Canal, and then World War One. I've already watched the series a couple of times, so I know everything about it. But I'm gonna do a reaction, give my opinion, just sort of re-update my knowledge on things, and then Napoleon. What? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. See you guys.